This channel supports Extra Life in its efforts to raise money for the Children's Miracle Network. For more information about how to donate and join in their efforts, go to the link displayed here. Extra Life. Play games, heal kids. What up, everybody? This your boy Black Magus, and just got back in the house maybe a couple of hours ago. Started to work on some projects here and decided, you know what, let me watch something on TV. Then while I was scrolling through, I saw an ad on where was it? IGN, because I had my internet browser up, Chrome up, and I saw them talk about powers, or maybe they sent something about it in an email. I don't know. It was somewhere I saw it, and I was like, oh, I forgot about powers. I actually wanted to check that out and see what that is all about. So this week, Sony has released it for PlayStation Plus members to watch for free. If you have PlayStation Plus, you get to watch the entire season for free. And I figured, well, hey, I'm not paying anything for this. Why the hell not? Let's check it out. Well, I mean, I guess maybe I am since I got PlayStation Plus, but sorry, I'm rubbing my eyes because I'm tired as hell. Anyway, so decided to check out the pilot episode. Just wanted to talk with you guys briefly about it. The other episode 2 and 3 I think are up as well, because as soon as the pilot ended, it went immediately into episode 2. So I paused it real quick so I could cut this before I watched that. But so now, I have never read the comic book. I'm unfamiliar with the material. I just, have seen previews, heard stuff about it. I sat the other day and watched the preview video that they had up on PlayStation 4, and it seemed interesting because it's a nice. I think it's a nice, change up from traditional comic books, which is something that I've been a fan of for the last, oh gosh, how long has this been going on? It's been going on for a good while now, where you're getting a lot of people who write more non-traditional takes on the superhero, supervillain type of thing, whereas it's not just the straight up, he gets his powers and he goes to fight evil, and then he has this, gallery of rogues that he goes up against, like, Superman, X-Men versus, the evil mutants, things like that. This is kind of, it's kind of a refreshing thing to see a lot more writers take some really interesting turns on the comic book world. Now, this one right here, Powers, basically, it's about a world where people exist with superpowers, and there's this whole world of people who are called wannabes, who, look at them and, revere them as rock stars, celebrities, want to be them. There's a whole subculture. On top of that, there's a police division that was created, I forget what city they said they're in, that is supposed to police powers, go out, investigate crimes, try to catch them, and, all of that as well. And the whole story centers around Detective Walker, who was a former power, named Diamond, who was a superhero who lost his powers. They went in a little bit as to why he doesn't have powers. They gave you a glimpse near the end when they had him confront the guy who I'm going to assume is going to be the main villain, the main antagonist of the series, which is Wolf, which is played by Eddie Izzard, who's a very, very cool actor. He needs to do more stuff. I think, to me, Eddie Izzard is very underrated. Just about everything I've seen him in, I liked him in, all the way down to playing one of the main villains, thugs in what's the name of that movie? Mystery Men. Eddie Izzard, he does some really cool stuff. He was even good in my Super X Girlfriend. I think that's what it was called. He was really good in that too. But good actor. But anyway, so the guy, Detective Walker, aka Diamond, he's dealing with not having his powers while he's working for the powers division of the police department, which pretty much from what they were saying in the show gets shitted on. They looked at it as a joke. You know, a lot of people, you know, feel like they're just useless. It's like a token division thrown out there to look like the city's making an effort, when in reality, these people really can't do that much against, you know, people with superpowers. Someone even made a comment in the show. At the end of the day, you still need, you know, a superhero to come along and help you take down one of these like powers that are evil, because you can't compete with them, you know, with just your regular weapons. And it's a really good. I think it's a really cool what if scenario. Like, what if powers really existed? How would it really be? Instead of, again, what we're used to, where these superheroes are here, they do their thing. We never see the consequences. We never see, you know, the background stuff, the way the, you know, public really perceives them, the way, you know, they interact between each other, how they feel about, you know, their lives, how some people who might not care for them feel, and things like. I think it's going to be a really good, you know, show to break down stuff like that. We've seen glimpses of it where, you know, you saw Diamond get revered by some kids growing up who, some of them have power, some of them want to be, you know, they just all hang out in a certain spot, and they saw, you know, this girl saw who he was, and she was just like all interested. She was ready to get with him, you know, gave him her number and stuff like that. Was, you know, doing what he, you know, listening to him because of the, you know, aura that he, you know, exuded from his past. You know, she was just all about Diamond. You know, she was just such a fan of Diamond, even though she had her own powers. You know, it's stuff like that. His partner, what's her name, Dina Pilgrim, mad attitude. It's funny because this is one of those cases where you know, don't get a lot of flack from them changing the character. In the comic book, she, you know, is white, blonde, and she's being portrayed by a young black actress. I don't remember her name. I do remember the guy who played Walker, Sharlto Copley, only because he was Murdoch in the A-Team, and I loved the A-Team. That was a great movie. Dude's a good actor. He's been in all of Neil Blomkamp's movies, District 9. He's the voice of Chappie and Elysium, so he's been around for a minute. It's funny though, he kind of slips in and out of his natural accent when he's on the show. I don't know if that's going to be a big problem, because we see that happen with The Walking Dead, you know. He slips in and out of his Rick slips in and out of his natural accent. For those who don't know, the guy who plays Rick is actually British. Sharlto Copley, he's from South Africa, so you can sometimes hear that accent come out. But hey, it's better than an American doing a foreign accent, because we tend to do a lot worse with those than they do with our accent. But you know, as far as the show is concerned, the first episode, I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was, you know, something spectacular. You got to get a little background on Diamond, aka Detective Walker. You got to see him interact with his new partner after his first partner pretty much made a bonehead mistake, got killed by a supervillain, and Walker had to take him down. There seems to be a little heat tension between Walker and his ex-partner's family. I'm wondering if that's going to come into play. You know, me having written some, you know, short stories and stuff like that growing up, and having, you know, kind of studied a little on writing, I get the sense from their interaction that there's some type of affair or something going on, because you just hear her briefly mention, you know, about her husband's phone not having a bunch of women on there so her son won't see it, when he brought over his ex-partner's stuff from the office to the family, things like that. So might be something going on there. Walker seems like he's going to have a lot of like conflict and trouble through this, because there was a story after his partner got killed where they were on Extra of all thing, and Mario Lopez was doing the expose on the found footage of the cop being killed in the station, and then he was talking about Diamond, how he used to hang with Wolf and this other antagonist named Royale, which we got to meet, who is supposed to be dead, but he's not dead, and now he's like supplying some type of drug that soups up people's powers, but it also kills them, because we saw a superhero get killed from taking that drug in a weird way, because he was hooking up with a fucking teenage girl who wanted powers. That's another thing that I thought was pretty interesting too, is that being something that's on PlayStation, it's weird to me, and I'm going to talk about this in a second, but it's weird to me that they do so much to associate the two together. Anyway, they were talking about how, you basically see him and her leave a club, they go into the club, and you pretty much see her going down. You don't see the act itself, but I mean, chick's head goes down in between the dude's lap. They cut to his face, and you see his eyes get big, because fellas, y'all know what that is when you put the mouth on it. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, but apparently it was revealed that exchanging fluids with the power, quote unquote, I want to say it the nice way, can give you a temporary access to those powers, because Diamond mentioned to his partner that chick went down on him, swallowed him, and she hovered in the air for a couple of minutes afterwards. So that's an interesting thing. I'm curious to see what other interesting things like that they're going to bring out in the show. But I've heard from the previews that since they are, on PlayStation, they're not, bound to any TV rules or anything like that, that you'll probably see a lot of crazy stuff. They're going to have a lot of, they're open to do a lot, rather than what they would have been had they went straight to a network. So that's going to be interesting to see, in itself. But, like I said, it was a cool episode. Nothing big. I'm assuming that as we move on, things will get better. Just to touch a little bit more on the story before I go on this mini rant here. So basically, he gets a new partner, and they're investigating the death of one of his old partners in crime, who, like I said, hooked up with this girl, and ended up dying because he apparently took this drug, and it caused his heart to explode. So they're trying to figure out, while in the midst of trying to figure out how he died and what's going on, they kind of rediscover, at least Walker kind of is faced with the idea that one of his old friends, Royale, who's the other antagonist I mentioned, is alive. He apparently had died, and everybody believes he's dead, but Walker kind of notices some of the things, like the girl they picked up, they took her to the station, they're talking to her, and Royale has this power where he can blink in and out of places. Basically, he's like a night crawler type of guy. And, to keep the girl from saying anything or talk about the drug or anything like that, which he's distributing, it seems, he blinks in, snatches her out, takes her out when their backs are turned, really quick. And he looks back at the tape, he's like, yo, that's the signature of his power, because the tape got distorted. So he's wrestling with the idea that his partner might be back. He goes and talks to Wolf, who was apparently their mentor, and was pretty much one of the nastiest villains alive. He mentioned something about he ate over 550 people or something like that. So he literally is a wolf, in a sense. He went to see them. You saw them doing some strange shit with them, lobotomizing them. It's extra, crazy, insane shit that they were doing. But he's confronting him. He was trying to find out what was going on from him. That's when he broke down and admitted, yeah, Wolf took my powers to his partner, because Wolf had said something. And you got a brief glimpse of someone called Retro Girl, who was a power that he was involved with that didn't really show much of her. But like I said, it wasn't that impressive. It wasn't bad either. It was a pilot. It was definitely a pilot. I am curious to see where they're going to go with the next one, and see how much they're going to expand, and just how much more we're going to get. It's a good start. It's a good start, especially for an established property. I think that's probably my biggest issue, is that I felt like, they played it more like something that's a huge established property, sort of like how you take Gotham. It doesn't take, you don't have to necessarily, even though Gotham does this sometimes, which I think is really, really dumb, but you don't necessarily have to go out of your way to do stuff to establish and introduce people to these characters that are in the show, because most people know, it's more people that know the iconic figures in Batman than don't know. Whereas with something as Powers, this is something that's still relatively new. It's not that huge. It has its popularity, but I wouldn't say that it's a huge mainstream success like Batman is. So therefore, I think people need to find out, or to get to know more what's going on. Get a little bit more of a foundation on what this is about, what's going on, who these people are, why should we care about them. And I didn't think they did a good job necessarily of establishing that. I think they just went about things as if all of that had been established. So maybe now that they've got the pilot out, you'll get a little more expansion on the story. That's exactly what I wanted to see, at least in the next few episodes. Just expand on the universe a little bit so I can understand who these people are, because I think it's a type of story that you kind of need to know a little bit about these people first before you move on. But that's just my critique right there. Anyway, now just put a real quick mini rant, because this reviews have gone on long enough. I am curious as to why it's put under a PlayStation Original. I know Sony said that they were going to expand and they were going to try to start developing their own TV shows and put them on PlayStation and all that. Okay, cool. I understand. You own this property. You can use this platform to put out your stuff. But that's the thing. You don't need to call it a PlayStation Original, to be quite honest, because as being a company like Sony, where you are an established conglomerate that has tons of properties, including Sony Pictures, which has plenty of TV shows established on networks, already, you don't necessarily need to call this a PlayStation thing. You could just say that this is a, Sony Pictures production exclusive on PlayStation 4. You don't necessarily have to brand it as a PlayStation thing, because I feel like they kind of they're locking it in, where I think this is something that they could take and grow beyond just the PlayStation. Not saying it's bad necessarily, that is a PlayStation thing, but I don't think you need to put that in the credits necessarily, if that makes sense. But that was just my other mini gripe, I guess I should say. Anyway, if you've seen Powers, please hit me up and let me know what you think. I'll probably talk about episode 2, episode 3, give you my opinions of that, and we'll see if I continue to talk about this show. I'm hoping that it will be something good. I've heard good things about the comic books, but TV shows don't necessarily go that way. There's only a few TV things that have gone from other media to film medium and worked out that great. Hopefully this will be one of them. Anyway, I'm out of here. I'll holler at y'all later. This your boy Black Makers, and I'm out. Peace.